What is up, guys? It is the Unhinged Engineer. Today, I have a pretty casual video that I have not scripted at all, but it's just something that I've kind of been chewing on for probably the last year or so it actually predates this channel. But I've never actually gotten the stomach to discuss, and so I'm really excited to share it with you guys. I have actually switched jobs over the last year. In addition to that, I've picked up a graduate degree program at Georgia Tech. You've probably been following the blog. And I've started making videos for this channel. And so, to be honest, the increase in workload has been pretty intense, especially more recently with the pickup of my new job, which is at a much more fast-paced company than where I was previously. I've noticed something about the anxiety that I get as I approach my work, and specifically as I approach deadlines for that work. I've kind of caught on to this phenomenon where I grow to hate the work the longer I put off doing it. And then I kind of extrapolated that to the rest of my life, and I say, well, I only hate my job when I'm not doing it. Or I only hate grad school. I only think about dropping out of grad school when I'm not doing it. When I'm sitting there and I'm doing the work and I'm getting the value out of it, either financially because I'm getting paid or educationally because I'm learning from these projects that the program forces me to do, I don't hate the work. And granted, I get frustrated and, sometimes it is stressful if I can't get my code to work the right way, but I grow to resent it and get that pit in my stomach and that voice in the back of my head that says, should I be doing this? Am I pushing the throttle too hard? I only get those voices when I'm not doing the work that I'm agonizing over. And so it's effectively this weird analysis paralysis that I think a lot of people struggle with, not just in the engineering field, but in general with their life. Like, I only hate working out before I go to the gym. When I'm lacing up my shoes and like, oh God, I'm tired, I won't do this. Then when you get to the gym, it's fine. You're there, you're doing it, you're getting a sweat, you listen to music, you're having fun. It's all good. So you only hate going to the gym when you're not there. I only hate my job when I'm not doing it. I only want to drop out of grad school when I'm putting off doing my homework. The logical answer to that is just do the damn work. Sit down and do it. But beyond that, obviously, I've kind of had this thought pattern where it's like, oh, okay, let me just work, go, to kind of push out the voices in my head. But in addition to that, an objective, realistic understanding of how this all works is really, really important, because I do think in the long run, like, if every time you're not doing the work that you have to get done, you're building up all this tension beforehand, and then you do it and you release that tension, so you're still spending the majority of your time in tension. And so over time it will wear you down and ultimately you'll fail, right? I just read a book called High Performance Habits. I forget the author's name, but I'll put it on the screen. I really talked about this a lot. You need to not just shape your habits, but also your perception of the work and then perception of yourself through that work. And if you don't do that, any high performance you achieve will be unsustainable. And just to illustrate that point, I have an example from my life. I spent, I want to say 2 or 3 years learning the guitar. I was, maybe like 13, 14. I thought it would help me get girls. I was learning guitar, and it was like the classic middle school going into high school story of my parents got to nag the crap out of me to do my practice, and I don't want to go to class. And then on the drive there to class, I'm miserable or packing up my guitar and all this stuff. And then I would sit down in class and the person was really nice and I would enjoy those classes. And I remember even at 14 or 15, realizing as I left the building, like, I did enjoy that. That wasn't so bad. I kind of made a big fuss out of nothing. And then I do the same thing again when I practice. But I don't think at that time I had the self-awareness to correct that thought pattern. And ultimately I quit. Not only did I quit, but I never really got anywhere. The best song I ever played was Old MacDonald. Never really hit that high level of performance, that level of mastery that other people can get in less than 2 or 3 years of doing the guitar. I think for me, if I had not corrected that thought pattern earlier, it would have dramatically capped the level of performance I could achieve. And I definitely recognize that now that I've kind of switched from a slower paced, more easygoing job to a more intense job in the startup world. I did actually learn this lesson at my previous role, because my previous role was more laid back and not exactly in stuff that I did in college. Just like as an example, I worked with FPGAs a lot in my last job, and I did not learn FPGAs in college, and quite frankly, I never want to work with FPGAs again. I never want to write a line of Verilog again in my entire life. I learned to correct this thought pattern there, because it's like, well, Verilog kind of sucks, but when you're sitting there and you're coding, you're just doing your job. doing my job, I'm at the office, I go to take a leak and then run into somebody at the water cooler, talk to them. When I'm doing the work, it's not that bad. But when I'm walking to work and I'm thinking about it, or it's the weekend and I'm like, oh God, tomorrow's Monday, you build up this animus of how terrible the work is that is not at all reflective of the actual experience of doing it. And so I kind of learned to correct that thought pattern, and then my relationship with my job got a lot better. And in addition to that, my performance at my job got a lot better, and I started to actually love the work. I don't like Verilog, I'm never gonna do this again, but I'm gonna learn something from this. And I definitely did. I learned tons while on this job. I really enjoyed it, and that's what got me this job. I would not have what I have right now if I hadn't done that previously. And so everything goes somewhere. Everything contributes towards your future in some way, even if that way is completely indirect. And so, yeah, I think it's really, really important. Build a healthy perception of your work and don't let this weird animus manifest itself in your brain. Cut that out and just recognize that regardless of how you feel about the work overall, doing it is just doing it. And so, yeah, that's pretty much the video I wanted to make today. And I think this kind of recognition is what's gonna get me through all the stuff I have going on. Because truth be told, I have thought about, do I wanna continue grad school now that work is so much harder? Or do I wanna continue posting videos at the pace that I've been posting them while I have so much other work? I'm actually running late. That's part of why I'm doubling up this weekend, because I completely am running behind on my videos. Do I wanna keep forcing myself to do all these things? And of course, the big question is, do I wanna work as hard at my job as I am? Because I want to get promoted, I want to do all these amazing things, I want to make the most of these opportunities, but I've been running pretty hot. I've been running the tank on empty. And so do I want to do that forever? The answer to all those questions is we'll see. I don't really know. Sometimes you do genuinely need to throttle it back or reallocate your time and energy to something more useful. Maybe there are some opportunities I'm taking at work right now that I won't realize until a little bit later are actually lower ROI than I initially perceived them as. Or maybe I realize that I don't really need grad school for what I want to do, or I don't need specific grad classes for things I want to do, and so why bother putting myself through that heartache? So maybe that will change, but I think from the day to day, in the short term, it's super, super important to have a healthy perception of your work and just be, I'm gonna do this, it's gonna be fine, don't worry about it, just rip the Band-Aid off. Yeah, this is just kind of a recognition I've had that I only hate my job or I only hate my work when I'm not doing it. And when I am doing it, I freaking love my job and I love grad school and I love making videos for you guys. I love all of it. The problem is not the things themselves. The problem is the perception of these things I sometimes get when I'm stressed the hell out or I'm burnt out. Everybody gets those feelings sometimes. That's okay. We're all human. But really recognize it for what it is. It's just this weird demon that isn't actually reflective of how you feel. And if over time you realize it is actually how you feel, then you make a change. But I'd hazard to guess that at first you're just gonna leap into conclusions, because I know that's what I did. So yeah, a bit of a philosophical video for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed. Like I said, I'm the Unhinged Engineer. I make professional development content for young STEM or engineering professionals like myself. I work in the aerospace and defense industry, and I'm also studying computer science at night through Georgia Tech's online program, and so I'm vlogging that journey. But yeah, if you're just looking for somebody else who's going through kind of the trials and tribulations of what working in these science and technology fields is really like, if you're looking for somebody else going along that journey with you, then this is definitely the channel for you. Please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.